record inside the room. So I got to make sure that I get that done today. Man, I'm fired up. I don't know about you guys. Fired up. Had a lot of fun this morning already with my artificial intelligences. Yeah, intelligences.
Intelligence I.
Intelligences. No, I think I said that the right way.
Yes. No, you did. I was just being perverse.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching us, that kind of thing. Welcome to the Lost Transition. This is our edition of our Monday Mastermind. We join here every Monday at 12 Eastern Standard Time. We start the week off, we say TGIM, have a bunch of fun. The way it starts and works out is that we're going to have people in the audience. We call on the audience here, kind of reflect on their week from last week, share their wins that they might have because this show really it's all about you guys. It's nothing about me, but I just love to, be the guy behind the scenes, if you will, to create all the fun and have the excitement and the environment to where we can look forward to something on Monday and kind of re-gear. Maybe some bad things happened last week. I don't know how your week was. I know last week my week was not the most stellar. We'll put it that way. But we got through it. We got through it. Anyway, Monday is just a chance for us to reset, especially if you're a entrepreneur or a business owner. If you're working that whole 9 to 5 thing, well, you probably don't like Mondays, but we love Mondays around here. So, welcome. So, that being said, I've got some fun stuff to share. This is week 24. We're calling this the power of storytelling. I would definitely make sure that you guys grab some pen and paper. As always, we will be dropping those gold nuggets here and there. Uh, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk today about the power of storytelling. So before we get started, though, let's shout out into the crowd there, see who wants to share. Who's got some wins that they'd like to start us off with? Unfortunately, I know a couple people won't be here because they're not feeling well and have other obligations. So, sending love and light out to you. And also, before we get started, too, there's some things that are on my mind. So, if you guys would send out just a prayer for a friend of mine. His name is Dariush Ashtari. I've known him for 15 plus years. He's a business partner of mine that lives over in Iran. I haven't heard from him in about 6 days. So I'm a little concerned. Hopefully, it's just an internet issue that we're dealing with. But yeah, if you would kind of lift him up, if you would, everybody. Beyond that, let's have some fun. Let's talk about what's going on, Vicky. What are your wins? Share, share, share. Good morning. Oh, you're still muted, dear.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I feel like I've had several wins this week. I was sick, which wasn't such a win, but I was still able to get some things done, and I'm excited and motivated. I'm fired up today. I just feel like I've got a lightening that's happening inside, and I don't feel so weighted down and by most everything. So, and that just is a big win to me because of for so long I let so many things interfere with everything I was trying to do. This morning I felt free and I got up and I've been doing all kinds of stuff since like 6:30 this
I
morning.
love that. I love that.
Got my post done. So and I'm changing some things again, tweaking them, and I think I have a pretty good idea of where I'm gonna go with things now. So um now it's just a matter of making them happen. But you
I
were
love
talking about your experience with AI, and I had to chuckle because I was working with an AI yesterday and I thought, oh my gosh, it has got to be the most stupid AI I've
it.
ever worked with. I mean, it was asking me the most stupidest questions, and I'm like, okay. no, this isn't happening. So I switched back over to the AI I could handle because if I just couldn't tell, couldn't, and I know you're the one who's supposed to be training it, and so then that goes there too. Like, oh my God! But I couldn't believe the stupidest questions it was asking, and I'm like, okay, I'm not prompting this one right. It needs a little more than what I'm prompting it with. But so I just went on to another AI and utilized it and got my answers and I'm coming up with some good things. So
I love it.
I can't wait to get them all ready and be able to show everybody.
I love it. I love it. No, then
That's
what a
it.
great
Y'all
way
have
to
a great week. I'm excited. Woo!
what a great way to start your week. Sounds like you've been in the trenches early in the morning like I have. When you get a chance, go to my profile. I did a funny post about AI and myself this morning that you got to take a look at. So I totally understand. Totally understand. Thanks for sharing, dear. Keisha, what you got, my friend? Uh-oh, you're muted.
So believe it or not, mine are AI related also.
Sweet.
So
All right.
my biggest problem is, especially since I've been back, I've been not focused. Like I've been all over the place.
Well, come
And
on. Come on. To all due respect, my mind would still be on the island too, girl. Let's be real.
so what I did was I put all of my personality information into my AI, all of my goals into my AI, and all of the apps that I have access to, and all of the network marketing programs, affiliate programs that I have. And I told it to give me which one will give me my first dollar the fastest and my most consistent dollars. And then help me fold in the others as they become appropriate.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it actually gave me a heck of a plan. It gave me, and thank you for introducing me to Manus, by the way. And FYI,
You're welcome.
it doesn't have an affiliate program, but it does give you credits when you give a
Correct.
referral.
Yes.
So I then took some of the things that are not mainline to my business, and I actually sent myself referrals to all my different accounts, and like all those little mini projects that I wanted, I let
Yeah.
Manus do those on those accounts because it
Nice.
used less credits. And then my main account stays focused on what I'm doing. And I had my other AIs do all the heavy lifting. So I'm not wasting my Manus credits.
I love that.
So I
Good.
literally went in and I fed all the information into one of my chats. And then I told the other one to summarize this, make it better. And then I asked it for a specific prompt that I can give to Manus to execute what I needed to do.
Love it. Love it.
And I've been having a ball with that. So literally, and then I had a brainstorm this morning where I was like, I can literally take this and just like the ideas were popping like crazy. So that's the other reason why I was so happy to send it to all of my other accounts, because I need my main account to focus on what it is it's doing.
Sure.
I don't need it
Sure.
to get confused. But
Right.
all those other little things that I have going on, I can give it to the others.
I love it. Smart.
And I've been having a field day with that because, again, my problem has really been focusing to the point where I'm not even sleeping. Like I'm in bed, but I'm not achieving deep sleep. I've gotten deep sleep 1 hour this entire month, and I actually wear a monitor that tells me.
Damn.
so, so which we all know is not good. And on average, I am under 20 minutes and not even consecutively daily. So
Gotcha.
I have to get the stuff out of my head in order to get some sleep.
Yep. I
And
understand.
that's how I've been using AI to get it out of my head. And then I printed it all up and printed off some stuff from a couple of my teams and from Virgil's teams. And I was like, okay, this is what I have. This is what he has. Can we combine these to make it make more sense? Because they're each missing a little something, but the something that's missing is in the other one. So I kind of like, let's crunch these together and make it make some sense.
Sure. Sure.
So
Connect the dots for me, if you will, right?
yes, yes, yes. So I've been getting a lot more accomplished by doing this.
Good.
And then I taught my first class on Monday, last Monday, as you know.
Man.
And I got a
Uh,
lot of positive feedbacks from the students that were in there. And the person I was filling in for apparently got a lot of feedback um, after afterwards. So he had been leaving me voice notes talking about how incredible it was, and he voluntold me I was doing Wednesday too.
oh, how nice.
So we were able to
How
follow up to
nice.
see if everybody was able to accomplish the task I gave him to do on Monday. So,
That's awesome,
but
girl.
it's all been about getting AI to do most of the heavy lifting.
That congratulations, man. That's a great share right there. And yeah, with Manus, you got to be careful. I tell everybody, you don't want to get too deep. But what I did find over the past couple of days, which I don't mind sharing with you guys because it's part of the lost transition that I'm building out, was I utilized that to get the framework and the structure and everything. But now that I have that, I can still take that, like if I have the files themselves, and this is for the advanced users that might be out there and you're dealing with your own server or your own hosting, file transfer protocol, those kind of fun things. I'm able to now take whatever those files are that I had built through Manus and then take them into ChatGPT and I can say, okay, well, go through this, check for broken links, make sure that the branding's right, just pretty much crossing my I's and dotting my
Did you
T's.
see that? I apologize. Did you see that Manus launched at Manus Cloud this weekend?
I know. I just know that
Mhm.
they
Check
got
that out.
some video action that I want to play with.
That is a game changer because it can you can log into the apps that you use. Manus will tell you to go in and do this and this. You can log into all of those, and then Manus can then do a lot of the stuff even more.
I'll tell you a funny story since we're on the topic and we're talking about Manus. I was able to use Manus at first to log in, use an FTP. It would upgrade files and all that, but then
Uh-huh.
it stopped doing it on me. And it just decided, well, I can't do it. And then it tried to tell me, I'm sorry if you were confused. I said, no, I'm not confused. Here's one of the chats
They've
here
all
where
done
you
that to me
logged
at some
in
point. They
and
were able to do something one time, and when I tell it to do it again in another context or
yeah.
even on the same topic, it's like, no, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You already did it.
Right, right. Kind of like what
But
Vicky
we,
was
we
saying.
have to remember that AI is still in its infancy. It's still going to
Sure.
trip up on itself. So
Three
it's
years
never.
later, I don't know about infancy, maybe toddler stage.
Yeah, probably stage. But I
Terrible
mean,
twos.
I heard somebody say this the other day, and I've never heard a truer statement.
Yeah.
AI right now is as dumb as it's ever going to be.
Yeah, that makes
So if you
sense. I
learn to
mean,
master
that's
it now,
logical.
you're gonna crush it going forward. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
logical. Yeah, totally. That makes sense. And by the way, we don't blame you for not being in your headspace. When I lived there in Florida, my ex-wife and I went down there to the Florida Keys. We were there for 15 days and I just did not want to leave. So
No,
my
it's
mind was
fine.
out of it too. So we're happy you're back. Let's get you focused, get that
Yeah.
stuff going and get you moving. Thank you for sharing, my friend. Appreciate you.
All
Jackie, what you got? Tell us all your wins, girl.
Um, Good morning, afternoon, everybody. Before I say anything, I was in Keisha's class and it was
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. It really was. And I did do the assignment, Keisha. So yes, I did do it and it was brilliant.
Congratulations.
But there are some gaps, and I'm gonna probably come to you for that. But it was brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to the Wednesday class because she was phenomenal.
Right on.
So, like my win. So, I've got one medium-sized win and one tiny win.
Okay. They're
Okay.
all good,
Yeah, yeah. For
no
me, I
matter how
thought,
big or small.
yeah, I thought that. So, the first win comes out of the five conversations that we have.
Yes.
So, I was able to get an introduction to somebody via one of those conversations. I had a conversation. I wasn't actually able to fund the person, but I was able to refer for credit repair. So that was really good. So we're going to keep in contact because once their credit has been repaired, then hopefully they'll come back to me to be funded. So that's a good thing. And then I had another phone call this morning Zoom this morning, also coming out of the five.
Wow.
That was another follow-up. That was a financial planner. He's actually asked me to go on his group and present something, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll try that. And I do say I do remember you saying something about hosting stuff or being involved in things like that, and that could help raise your profile. And so I thought, okay, I said yes, but then I thought to myself, oh, Jackie, what'd you say yes for? But anyway, I did say yes. I did.
Good for you.
So I did say yes, so I'll prepare for that. So Keisha, expect to hear from me on that. So you too, Mr. Robert.
Okay.
So that was that. And then the tiny one that I thought it really tickled me was somebody actually reposted something that I posted. And
There you go.
I thought that was brilliant. I'm like, oh, that's never happened to me before. So it might not be anything to anybody else, but to me, that was like, oh, somebody reposted something. It was a post that I made. I think was it last week when I was actually moaning about feeling like, okay, well, I'm going to keep going, even though I don't want to keep going. That post, I did a post like that, something like that, and it obviously hit ring true with somebody because they reposted it, and I thought, oh, okay, that was nice. So they are my wins. Thank you.
I love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. And yeah, anytime somebody does something like that, we talked about this before, right? You got to understand most people have a motive. And if they're asking you to come and speak in front of their people, then they see that you have value, just like what Rita put in there in the chat. That's also the reason that somebody shared what it was that you had. The other thing that I want to mention about that is many times beginner entrepreneurs, even if somebody takes their stuff and they steal it and post it and don't give the credit, many times people will get pissed off about that, right? They'll get upset. But I don't know because I'm always bad with those sayings, but something about uh, impersonating is best form of flattery or something to that effect, right? When they copy you, and you know you're doing something right, you're touching somebody's brain. But congrats, girl. I can't wait to hear what comes out of that, right? And if you're on an open stage now, more people will know about Jackie. And on a side note, I think you and I probably will talk about that whole business funding, by the way. So just let's chat in the very near future. Thank you for sharing. Dale, what you got, brother? Tell us your wins, bro.
So I'm really starting to get into this whole AI thing.
I'm
Um, and yeah, especially
addicted.
I especially I'm gonna do more in Now Site, but
Yeah,
I did the upgrade in Chat GPT because I was working on something
yeah,
and it just ran out of gas on me, and I'm like, I got to get this done.
yeah.
So I went ahead and I spent the $20 and did the upgrade. Anyway, I did a
Before you get started, you see what Rita put there?
no, I didn't. What?
She said, "Welcome to the dark side."
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's awesome. What I used to do, like I used to do a lot of blogs.
Hmm.
And it would take me like, a couple
Forever.
hours to do a blog post. Now it takes me 10 minutes. I go onto YouTube and I start searching how to, or, and it gives me, things that people are searching for. And then I'll go and I'll just put it in Chat GPT. So I did five free traffic, top five free traffic ways to build your business, right? And in 5 minutes, I had like a beautiful blog post, and then it turned around and which I would have never thought of. Do you want a branded worksheet to go with this, right? So now every report that I have out there, everything, it's got a worksheet or something with it, with my domain on it, with my businesses on it, with my Calendarly link on it. So no matter where it goes, my imprint is there.
I love it.
So I mean, and I would have never thought of that.
Right.
Is putting a little worksheet together. So if somebody's really into getting some information off that video, they don't have to sit there and they could be on there once,
Yeah.
use the worksheet, which again has all my information on it if they print it out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's there forever until they crumple it up and throw it away. Um, you know,
I love it.
and
I love it.
and
He
you
gets
know,
it.
and it's like I'm like loving this. This is like what used to take me like a couple hours. I think it took me like a whole 45 minutes to put the whole thing together, including the feature image and everything else. And the video might have been the thing that took me the longest.
Right, right.
You know, it's freaking amazing. I love it. I love it. I
That's
love it. I
awesome,
love it.
brother.
And
Looking
the other thing I did real quick,
yeah.
which I think is going to work out real good, is that I finally made a list of everything I'm promoting, and put it in order of what I want to promote. Because I've got a couple of I have referral frenzy. I have a couple of tools that do bulk emailing. Basically, they'll like send to like 50 or 60 mailers at a time.
Nice.
And all I have to do is put in the emails, and then it automatically every day goes in and sends out to what I want. So I created, using AI again, some some emails, and loaded that up over the weekend. So
Love it.
now I've got that all set up for the week. And every 2 weeks, I'll go in and change the business that I'm promoting. As I see things starting to, slow down with the leads, I'll go in and I'll change to another business.
I love
Right.
it. You got a
And
plan and everything.
and that way, my name will stay out there in front of, because that's the biggest thing with safe lists, is you got to get known by people.
Absolutely.
It's like anything. It's the same with social media. People have to see your face. They have to see your name before they start to pay attention to what you're doing. Right.
Absolutely. In
And
fact, you all almost got a PDF from me today.
yep, I mean, it's so easy
But
now.
I brought you some slides.
It's so easy now. It's like incredible.
Yeah,
I'm loving this.
absolutely, brother. Well, congratulations and welcome to the family there. The whole artificial intelligence, or as Rita says, the dark side. I don't know. I like to think we're on the light side. But choose your side. I don't know. As long as you use the force. Thanks for sharing, brother. Virgil, what you got, brother? Great to see you. Love that hat too.
Happy to be here as usual. And guess what? I got an AI story for you too.
All right. Seems to be
Yeah,
the
well,
common ground today in this room.
absolutely. I mean, it's a tool. It's a must. It's a must use in whatever you're doing right now. And I have a few wins. I mean, I'm still in my transition, third week, 30 days in, plus and whatever. And this past week, I was out on the field testing basically what I think I can offer directly as a service here, also based in marketing. And it was one of the meetings. I did three outings. One wasn't that successful, didn't pay any result. But the fact that I was out there allowed me to better understand the terrain, and that was a win for me. So that when I come back for that opportunity back there, I better know where to stand or how to approach the market. The other two meetings were in my love, what brought me into marketing, which is fashion, marketing, fashion. I'm putting together an agency here, content creating and marketing agency. And for that, I have a few services, and I needed to start having a few stores that were willing to embark on that journey, which had actual product but no marketing presence, no marketing engine behind. So I had another 3 meetings in that direction. One that well, all of them were successful. I count them as a win. The first one was actually attending a workshop that was led by a former contact that had access to a greater network that I actually need, and also within the context of the workshop, gives me access to potential brands that are in development in that industry, for which I can now get familiar with, the discovery process, the building rapport process, and throughout there showcasing what I do. And in that direction, the second 2 meetings were as important for me as well. One was in cosmetic, because marketing, cosmetic, or fashion, cosmetic, and music are industry that intertwine for me. So I tend to dabble in that. And cosmetic, well, if you're gonna look good, you have to take care of your skin. So I have this contact that has a um, soap factory and is looking for that brand service as well. So we brokered a conversation there. And finally, in fashion, I had a great meeting. I mean, this is where I used AI. It was a discovery meeting, what was meant to be a discovery meeting, but it was also, I think, more of an interview for me and, well, a connection moment with that person, with the potential client at that point. She has 2 stores, 2 small stores, no presence, looking for branding. Uh, um, Artistic director or marketing agency to get what she's looking for and has not achieved anything of her taste. So we had this quick discovery conversation where we connected, and I simply asked her to sign the brand name on paper and take a picture and send it to me. And with that, I went to work. So I sent her a preview and she reacted very well, very positively. So this will become a base service on which I can build, and also a template of service that I can offer to other uh, client type in the industry. So that was a big win for me.
I
Although
love
it
it.
hasn't converted yet, it has the potential to do a lot more.
Well, absolutely. You got to put it together first, right? And I love what you're saying. See, myself, my mind was running, so I had to take notes so I don't forget what I wanted to say. First off, as far as the cosmetic thing that you mentioned, yeah, of course, because you got to stay looking young, Virgil, so that nobody knows how old you are. I'm gonna lead in
I'm
with that
about to
one.
shave. I'm gonna.
But the other thing I wanted to mention that you said that I absolutely loved, and it takes me back to my direct marketing days of knocking door to door, is even though you might have had that bad experience or that door that didn't pan out the way you wanted it to, you were still able to take something and learn from that, right? To be out there in the trenches, so to speak, and see how things were going to go. And I love that. So I got to commend you for that, right? We can all learn again, from a reference of direct marketing, we can all learn from even the bad doors, right? So I love that. Thank you for sharing, brother. Rita, you got anything you want to share?
Of course, am I the last one?
Sure.
All right, do my dance. All right, as you can see, this is one of my wins. I had to list them, but when I got up this morning, I didn't realize I didn't have any wins, or at least I didn't think I did. But this is the new thing in the family right
Oh,
now.
she
My
got
new
it.
baby. And I did that because when I listened to my video
Sounds good.
from the, oh, good. When
Sound really clear.
when I listened to the video from the presentation I did, it wasn't really clear.
Yeah.
And neither was the camera. So I'll work on the camera next, or either just do it by phone, one or the other. I haven't figured that out yet, but coming. So that was pretty cool.
You sound marvelous.
Well, thank you, darling. Um, and I also realized that when I open my mouth and say I'm going to have a win every week, that puts a little pressure on me. And so I have to make sure I have those. Um, I did create my Facebook community group for Money Mastery for
Good.
Munchkins.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I need to do some changes on there, but at least that part was done. I got the start in. But let's see, in the group arena for Legal Shield, I got another certificate of recognition, so that'll be used for social proof. And I wasn't even
Mm.
expecting it, so just do what you need to do, and then they'll recognize you for whatever you do.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, it is. It was. I was like, oh, didn't know that. Thank you. And let's see. Oh, the biggest one. Oh, no, next to the biggest one. When we talk about going on and doing videos and the power of videos, Michelle Day made a video of this coffee. She was drinking a coffee, but she put this protein powder in it that she made it look so good. Like, she was really enjoying it. And I thought, well, let me check this out. So I did get the protein powder, hated it. But I wanted to compliment her on her style of, really marketing that for me to go ahead and purchase. So, watch what you do. But I did find a workaround for it. So that was a good thing. I put it as a base in my acai bowls that I make now. And so that worked out fine. All right. Lastly, and the big one, Virgil's YouTube channel with him and the Blakester doing what they do. It's kind of bad when you're looking at TV and you got them on the big screen in the bedroom, like you have anything else to
Right.
do besides in there, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was super cool to be able to see them and just absorb, like I hear things and you hear it and you go, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh, And then when you get to implement it, it's like, okay, I don't remember what he said to do. Sounds good. So when I could go back and you listen to it, I absolutely, it's like the rock stars. Like when I see you guys, I'll be like hugging you and stuff because I just feel like I know you. And I really do appreciate that putting that resource for us because you didn't really have to do that. But thank you so much. And if you haven't gone to their YouTube channel to that YouTube channel, go because everything that we've discussed is right there. If you didn't catch it, need to go back and do some research. He even has links in there as well. So super cool. Thank you so much. Thank to both of you.
You're very welcome, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Thank
those
you.
wins. I love it. I love it. Like I said, I love living vicariously through you guys. And Mondays are just my favorite day because we get to come together and have these stories and stuff and just feel the energy from everybody else. So if you're ever feeling down or not into it, man, just show up, right? Just show up. So with that being said, I already talked a little bit about my wins. Mine was just understanding I could take what I have now and put it into ChatGPT. So I had a lot of fun this morning. Go check out my Facebook. It'll make you laugh. And my ChatGPT is already ready. I told him, hey, get ready. I got a bunch of files for you to go through. I just talked to my AI just some other way. I don't know how to explain it other than that. With that being said, I want to share what the information that I have for you guys today because you guys always hear me talk about telling your story, right? Telling your story. If you've been around me at any time, you always hear me, I don't want the glory, just tell your story. But some of us, it takes a little bit of time to connect those dots, right? And when we get it, it's like, ah, we get it. Then you can just be off to the races, so to speak. So it took me some time to understand this whole storytelling thing as well. Right? I'm not sitting here saying that I knew this. I wasn't born with the storytelling gene. Right? It wasn't anything like that at all. But it was something that I ended up having to learn. And when I started, I wasn't the most perfect. Even though for me, I've never had any problems like being on camera or anything like that. Like I was just always a big ham and hey, put me in front of the camera if you had one. It took some drama, theater arts in school, a little bit of extra work in Florida. From the Earth to the Moon was the mini series that I was in, that kind of fun stuff. But when life happened and life changed for me, even though I had been in sales all my life, coming into this kind of realm where we were at, those two big things that I had to really understand was the things that I talked to you guys about, which is getting really good at asking questions, and then secondly, telling stories, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the power of storytelling today, what it means, right? We're going to give you some suggestions, and I'm even going to tell you maybe a couple of stories. I want you to kind of notice, because I'm giving little telltale signs, that as we were going through and we were celebrating these wins, did you notice that I was kind of in there sharing a story or two? If you noticed that, drop me a one in the chat area. If you didn't, well, you know that now, right? But I want to talk to you about this, the power of storytelling. So we've gone through our wins, but here's the tips and tricks that I really want to start with. And you'll want to write this stuff down. You always want to start off with some kind of hook. In essence, you got to think, our brains are, we're all over the place. Let's put it that way. We have the attention span of a gnat or a squirrel, one of those things, one or the other. So we have to be able to grab people's attention fast. And this is plain psychology. You see it every day, especially with commercials, right? But secondly, you want to make sure that you make it relatable. If you can, use everyday moments. As an example, when we were talking with Keisha, I told her, hey, I can understand being away on the island because I was there in the Keys for 15 days and I didn't want to leave. That everyday moment, I can connect to her with that. And anybody else that's listening that's around us that's ever been on a tropical island for more than 3 days, right? But everyday like things that people will understand. Third thing you want to drop in there is just building tension, right? If you can drop some kind of conflict, like what was it that was the issue that you ended up having to overcome to help that story come up with a happy ending towards the end. Fourth thing that you want to include is use vivid language. Do your best to paint pictures with words, in essence, right? So I could have explained how we love sitting on the beach and the sun sets. Those words themselves are painting the picture visually in somebody's head, which is something that you want to consider when it comes to storytelling. If you can wrap your story around a specific like thing that you've overcome or accomplished or whatever your product does to help you. And I really, really wish Catherine was here because she's doing a lot of stuff in video lately and she's starting to tell her story more. And I really, really love that. Maybe she'll watch the replay here. We'll get some feedback from her. But the more you can paint that picture, the better off you are, especially in the sales world for network marketing, right? Or whatever product it is that you are promoting. You have to literally put and paint a picture. We used to talk about this all the time in door to door, is painting the picture in the person's head as if they already have that, right? They already have what it is that you need, right, in their hands. Like, imagine if they had that. If they had whatever it is that your product solves, you know what I'm saying? Right? And then last but not least, fifth one is to close with a purpose, right? You should have some kind of lesson. A lot of times, what we talk about when we're talking about a storytelling is to guide them or point them in a specific direction. So you can end with some kind of lesson or you can guide them with a call to action, right? So the choice is totally yours on what you want to do with storytelling. But those are the five most important tips and tricks that I could think of that we could say, okay, what's going to help everybody here? These five things here, if you write these down and think about those, and yes, there will be a little bit of an exercise and hopefully you'll do it, right? I can't make you do it, but if you do, you will see something from it and it will benefit you if you put it to practical use. So there's the five quick little tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you. My question before we go to the next slide, and anybody can answer this, which of these tips have you been used? Which of these tips have you personally used before? Anybody? Anyone? Or have you? Keisha, go ahead.
Kind of all of them, because when I'm talking, when I'm speaking with a client, a lot of times they're in the wrong headspace. So I have to draw that other picture.
Love it.
And I have to tell them something really ridiculous in the first place to be able to get them to go home, what? And then get make it relate to them and their situation. And then, I'm like, but could you imagine if, building that tension. And then again, it's that vivid language. I have to be able to paint an actual picture that they can almost see, hear, and feel without them actually being there.
Yeah, the imagine if works really, really well, right?
Yeah.
It works really, really well. Thank you.
I was
Um,
like, you know what this feels like, but could you imagine if it felt like this?
right, absolutely. 100%. Thank you, my friend. Real quick, next slide story. I've got another question, so if you put your hand up, bear with me here. You could take this next one. Why storytelling works. We mentioned this. Trying to remember which, geez, last week, last Monday. I don't recall, Rita. Maybe you remember. But people buy with emotion, right? It's we buy with our heart first, and then we think about it later, right? We justify it with logic. And many times we'll go back and we'll say, "Oh, why did I buy that?" Right? I know that's happened to me quite a
Last
few.
week.
But then the other part about that is that stories create that emotional hook that if you add those, it also helps you build trust, especially if you're talking about the same situation that's going to help them fix whatever their problem is, right? And then third, but finally, facts tell, but stories sell. So you can sit here and tell me all day long about how it's the number one product in the world and thousands of people are using it, but that doesn't make me want to buy it, right? But if you tell me a story that includes somebody like myself and how they've benefited from it and how their life is now magically so much different, there's unicorns and rainbows everywhere, then yeah, that might get me to go and buy that product, right? The other thing that I want to mention that it isn't on the slide itself is that most of us, if not all of us, have been kind of like it's the social pattern for us to be brought up with stories, right? As a kid, unless we led a sheltered life and our parents didn't love us that much, right? They would read stories to us. I don't remember a whole lot of stories, but I know that my parents still loved me. Virgil, what you got, brother?
Well, it's a lot of everything that you said because I remember, well, I was actually looking for it because all that conversation brought that about, and it's actually something that I'm going to be using. I remember trying to write um, a biography of myself in a story to make it interesting because I felt that it was a little bit arrogant to write a story about. Well, it wasn't a biography, but it was a journal that I wanted to use as an article, but I didn't want to write directly about my life in all the real terms. I thought that it was a little bit boring, so I made up this conversation around having to deal with two lions on a journey, and that was a couple of years ago. And these lions were actually financial freedom, meaning entrepreneurship, and pursuing basically employment and looking at a career. And they had their the pros and cons, and the best way for me to create the imagery I felt around the tension that it was creating, putting me at that crossroad, was building that conversation around being trapped in between two lines on a narrow road. Um, I'm going to go back to that because that story actually has evolved since in those terms. I felt it was a nice way to give more value to a story or personal story in that context, since I like tales as well.
No, I
So
love
yeah.
I love that because that actually answers the question I was going to ask for this section, and the question was, when's the last time a story influenced your decision to buy or take action? So it's as if you were reading my mind. All right,
We're in
let's talk about the story structure. And I don't know why, but I'm having a problem seeing myself on video with you guys as well while I'm sharing. I don't know if this is new or what. It's really annoying. So don't be making funny faces behind my back. Hey, back to the story here. Story structure. Four things that we need to really think about. And they were kind of addressed at the other slide, but write these down because it'll help you out. So first off, set up who and where, right? Like who are we dealing with? Is it the person that you're trying to talk to, or is it something that you did or you experienced with something in your life, right? It's either you or you're talking about somebody else. And if you're talking about somebody else, well, hello, then brings in the satisfaction of those people that are really nosy that want to hear the story, right? That'll even lean in just to hear it. So set up. Who is it and where is it? Where does the story take place? Think of it, even if you're like, I don't know, maybe we'll inspire you to write a kid's novel or a kid's story. You need to know, how's the story gonna go? Who is it? Where are they? Like, who is the main character? Then number two, what's the conflict? What is the struggle? I struggled with weight loss until I found this, or this person that I knew struggled with weight loss until they did this, right? And then number three, the resolution. What was the win? Once they started doing this, they won. And then number four is the lesson. What's the takeaway, right? The lesson is if you do this, you won't have this problem in your life. If you can talk about the pain on number four, just since you're taking notes, right in there, talk about the pain. If you're using pain within the takeaway of the lesson, ooh, even more powerful. It really becomes very, very powerful. Again, we're talking about learning story structure and how to put your story together in such a fashion that you can tell it. And it's going to, number one, grab the audience's attention, reel them in so that they're listening the entire time. And if you notice, just like what I'm doing right now, you need to have some kind of tonal inflection, some kind of emotion to it. But as some of you guys might have heard me before, on that emotional scale from 0 to 10, you do not want to be over a 7, right? So as you're telling the story, if you notice that, oh my God, I'm getting too excited, you got to cap that shit off at 7. Okay, don't get any higher than 7. Even 6.5 is getting kind of close. The reason that I say that, for those of you that are like, what? What are you talking about? What's this 1 through 10 thing? Is because if you get too excited, again, this is energy that we're talking about and a transference of energy. If you get too excited, that's too much energy for somebody. Too much energy may repel. Okay? So that's the story structure. 4 little tips there. Who, where, conflict, struggle, resolution, the win, and then of course the takeaway. Now, here's the 3 stories that you really want to master. Write these down. Okay, I'm telling you, if you just just listen, just pay attention, write it down, try it out. It's not gonna hurt you at all. Promise you, it will not hurt you. And if somebody laughs at your story, block, right? You don't need people in your life that aren't gonna support whatever your story is anyway. Number one, origin story. Why you started. What was it that led you to this moment in time right now? Why is it that you're doing what it is that you're doing? Well, if you're passionate about something, why? Why? Well, you always hear about, well, what's your why? I'm not meaning like maybe it is the same thing. I don't know. Right? Your why might be different, but what is that origin story? Why did you start? And then customer story. Who have you helped? Now, this could be a problem if you haven't helped anybody. If you haven't helped anybody that you can think of, well, maybe not thinking hard enough because I'm sure you've probably done something for somebody. But then, secondly, in this part of the story here for customer story, you can always leverage other people's success. Just wanted to throw that in there because it came into my mind. And then the third thing is value story. What do you stand for, my friend? What do you stand for? But what is your overall mission? Like, who are the people that you're trying to help? Who are you? What is this? What's your vision? Even better. Value story. What is your vision? Right? But if we master at least these 3 things, and you're telling these different stories at different times, and especially on social media, they're going to grab the right people's attention. This is what we're talking about here. We want to give you the skill set so that you're having the right communication, the right conversations with the right people. And by simply telling your story, you can literally pique somebody's interest, which is what we talk about all the time, so that they come to you, they gravitate towards you magically and mysteriously. They come to you simply because of the communication, the words that are coming out of your mouth. Words have power. It's how we use those words that really matter, right? And we can use those words to build somebody up, or we can use those words to break somebody down. I prefer building somebody up because when you're using the power of those words to break somebody down, well, now you're talking about a negative energy, right? Stars will not align that way, my friends. The stars will not align that way. So, question. Anybody can take this. Well, only one person because of time. Which of these stories are you actively using in your business today? And if not, which one will you be taking away? First person that raises their hand. And I hope you all are paying attention there.
I'm volunteering Dorea because she didn't get an opportunity to answer the other one, so she probably has an answer for this one as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Durea?
I didn't know if I was Casper, this friendly ghost, or not. So
No,
no
no, it's
one saw me. I changed my
no.
color of my hands, so you
I, I think you heard me mention I saw a second hand go up, but with this, for some reason, I can't see the screen. I can't see I don't see my video or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird.
You're
Here.
so funny, Rita. I knew what I was gonna say before, but what was your new question?
Question is, which of those stories, if you are using them, are you actively using? And if not, which one would you be taking from it? Origin story, customer story, or value story?
Uh,
You may not be using them. I don't know.
yeah, so I was thinking about my last speech that I did, my last talk in New York City. Um, and it was basically I wove in my personal story with what was going on with the story that had to do with the platform. And it was funny because I think I was given like 45 minutes to speak, and for whatever reason, it got shift down to like 15 to 20 minutes. So I was able to grab the attention and it's like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I was raised in Northern California, in a cult, but I don't have time to talk about that. We got excommunicated, moved to Oklahoma where there was a rodeo and land and stuff, but I don't have time to talk about that. I hated Oklahoma so much, I joined the military. But I don't got time to talk about that,
I
So I
love
was
it.
going, and everyone's like,
Oh
what,
my
what,
God.
what?
That's tons of cliffhangers there too.
Right, right. And it
Love it.
gave people opportunity to follow up because they were interested in one of the stories. I mean, I did the whole speech like that. And
Love it.
then, when it was fast paced, and then, I went to the point and then paused.
I love it.
And
Oh my
and
God.
everybody, before you know it, because
Oh,
I was behind such a boring speaker and it was right before lunch and everybody was done. They didn't want to hear anymore. Before you know it, everybody had their phones like, wanting to capture. So,
oh my God.
finding that condensing my time ended up being such a reward for me
I
as
could
well. And
picture.
another thing I was gonna say too to grab attention, I'm when people don't know I'm nervous. But one of the things I used to do, I would sing. I'd be like me, 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 me.
Yeah.
and everybody's listening. And I said, I'm gonna sing one song for y'all, the song that I know all the words to, because I don't know very many songs, and I don't know all the words to all the songs. Because I thought Mary had that had a little lamb. I thought her fleas was white as snow, not fleas. So I'm gonna sing to you the only song I know all the words to. A B C D E F G. So by the time I get to the content, everybody's awake, everybody's engaged.
I
I got
love that.
them. They want to hear what I gotta say, and and go with that. So that's just a couple of things
Oh
I
my
wanted to
God, I
share.
absolutely love it. I wish I would have been a fly on the wall there that day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you. All right, well, look, we're not done yet because got a few mistakes that we want to avoid. Just a couple more slides that I want to share with you, and then, believe it or not, we're going to help you craft your 60-second origin story if we need to. But here's just a couple things we want to be careful of. Rambling or over talking. Right? Many times you hear me talk about that level one listening. Now, if you're the speaker, obviously you want to maintain control of the story, the stage, if you will. But if you're having a conversation with somebody, we have to understand that that's always can be two-sided. Again, going back to communication and learning the skills, if you know how to communicate and you can elongate your words and using all these little things that we're talking about with tonal inflection, many times you can keep people from talking over you. But you don't want to over talk either, right? There's many times you want to slow down. And if somebody's putting some input, just like what you see here in front of you live and in action, right? Allow the talking, especially if it's two ways. And it's even better to have them get involved within the story. Secondly, don't make it all about you, right? We we say this all the time. It's not about you at all. Has nothing to do with you other than I'll take that back. It has a lot to do with you on your part and becoming the person that you need to be, that people want to follow, all that good stuff here. But on the other end of the spectrum, other end of the scope, other end of the channel, other end of the lens, it's not about you at all. Not about you at all. Number three is be careful not to skip any emotional connections. If you can make an emotional connection with somebody, that's going to be better suited for you, especially in this world. Teray, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I have a couple of examples of what that looked like. So when I first got started, I wanted to be a motivational speaker, but didn't want to sit
Oh,
around waiting for somebody to
right.
ask me to speak. So I used to put on my own programs so I could be the speaker. And I charged, like, this is like over like 10, 15 years ago, or 15, close to 20 years ago. So I charged like $20, and I was so shocked that people actually, before social media, before all these groups online, they actually left their couch, drove across town, paid me $20 to hear me speak. But I was still very insecure in what I was saying. So I was so excited to share the new thing I was just discovering that I end up talking at them and not talking to them. And so, because I was still couldn't believe people were actually show up to hear me speak,
Right.
that I was still trying to convince them instead of realizing they're here, they paid, they found value, and they want to hear. So the over talking, rambling came into place because I was nervous. I didn't really was confident that I really had something they wanted. And then when another example of making it all about you, I was using the wrong vernacular. I was using the wrong language. And because I didn't know who all was showing up and what levels they were on, I had to learn how to incorporate words that they may or may not know with stories that everybody can relate to. So when I finally figured out the formula to use a little bit of visual with my storytelling, where everybody can relate, maybe introduce a new word or two for those intellectuals that need to be stimulated, and then, body language and stuff like that,
Changing the
all
state.
together
Yeah.
made it so much better. But if somebody didn't give me that critique that said it sounded like you're talking at me, it sounds like you're talking, say, they said you're a PhD, but we're in kindergarten. Help us to understand what you're saying.
Right.
And that was very good feedback for me.
Ooh, nice, nice. Thank you for sharing that. That's very important. And when you said motivational speaker, I wanted to yell out, you mean living down by the river? If you don't know that connection, Saturday Night Live. Oh, I miss Chris Farley. Thank you for sharing that. So here we go. We're gonna craft your 60-second origin story. Write this down, take some notes, take some notes. Here's the golden nuggets. And I've mentioned this before. I don't know if everybody's been on there, but in many times I talk about, well, telling your story. If you have problems telling your story, think about where you were, where you are now, and where you're going. So this kind of exemplifies a little bit of that. But the way to set it up is even simpler if you have this structure, right? Many times you hear us talking about formulas, like Dorea just mentioned a formula. When you understand the formula and you see that it works, well, it would be dumb of you not to continue using that formula, right? Yeah, it would be. So here's how we're gonna do it. You're gonna write this down. You're gonna craft your 60-second origin story. I was what? What were you struggling with in the past? And then I found, I don't know why all of a sudden this accent is coming in there. What was it that helped you? And then I'm now. What is your current mission? And then I can help you. What is the offer? So I found, I'm now, I can help you. That's the little blueprint or formula that we're giving you guys today. I want you to write that down. I want you to think about it. Run it through ChatGPT if you want to, my AI, whatever AI you want to. But let's come up with your 60-second origin story. Okay? Again, I can't do this for you, but if you do it and you utilize it, it will definitely help you out. Anybody want to take a shot at it real quick? Real quick before we go into this last slide or two slides away?
I'll
Go
go.
once. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. I was struggling with the lack of knowledge that kept people from being prepared about what to do with money and how to handle money. I found that just by something as simple as having a budget was something that helped me because I could now determine how much money was coming in, how much money was going out. Did I have anything left over at the end of paying off my expenses? I'm now on a mission to help munchkins, the younger children from the ages of 9 to 12, to understand the process of money. I can help you and your child with that by just reaching out to me.
Oh my God. Bravo. Bravo. Absolutely fabulous, Gina. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. That was, I don't know. And like Rita, we didn't stage this, right? You didn't see any of these slides I was going to share with you, right?
No, I have a wonderful coach.
Just confirming, okay? That was perfect. Thank you so much. Great, great example. So write it down. Don't say we didn't give you anything. All right, here comes the power close because we're running out of time. I know we used to do this and it was 2 hours, but we kind of went back to the whole 1 hour, sometimes a little over 1 hour. So I value you guys' time. And look, even as we're about ready to close, we have somebody ready to come in here. Somebody's in the waiting room there. All right, let them in. Power close. So your story could unlock somebody else's breakthrough. Give me just 1 second, Jorge. This is the big thing I want you guys to take away from this. Many of us, when it comes to this, and Vicky, you can, give me a five in the chat if you can relate. Obviously, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. But many times when I talk about this, there's other students that really haven't understood this, and sometimes again it takes longer than all of us. Sometimes, shorter. I'm not saying this about you, Vicky, just to be clear. But what I'm getting at is many times we don't think that we have value. We don't think that our lives are sufficient enough that they will help somebody out. When in essence, if we don't tell our story, we don't even know and realize that your story is the one that could unlock somebody else's breakthrough. And the reason I pointed you out, Vicky, is because Vicky's been through all kinds of, I call it fun shit, to say the least. And we laugh at that fun shit. But she's been through so many adversities, next to death's door. If she tells her story in such a fashion, the right people will latch on to that story. And those are the customers or the people and the friends and the associates that she's gonna want to work with, right? Excuse me. And it's mostly because of that emotional connection that we talked about before, just by simply sharing your story. So, my point is, don't keep your story in your back pocket. Share it. I talk to you guys all the time. I don't want the glory. Just tell your story. And some people, the dots weren't connecting, right? I want to make sure we connect these dots today. It doesn't matter how big or how small you think that story is. If you never share it, no one's going to know. Excuse me. Getting a little bit clumped here. But maybe it's your biggest takeaway from today. Did you have a takeaway? If you did, write that down. Maybe that's going to be the story for today. And I want to know, give me a seven in the chat if you're committed to telling your story or some type of story this week. And I still haven't forgotten about you, Jorge. Before we go to Jorge, oh, there's the videos. I want to give you just a quick little example. Okay. Quick little example telling your story. A lot of people don't know this story about me, but I was actually descended from the Von Trapp family that you've seen in The Sound of Music. Yay, me! It's a really cool story. Gravitates a lot of attention. And I think, I mean, it's part of who I am. But I told that the other day, put it into writing, and look, people loved it. I love this story, right? People resonate with it. Now, guess what? These people that are resonating with my story are people that I can go out and have a conversation with that I've already built some know, like, trust with, and I built some rapport with every single one of these people, right? That's one part of telling your story. Here's another example. This morning, right? We're talking about artificial intelligence this morning. That's been the common denominator. Here's another story. Real talk. Not everyone runs on coffee. Some of us just wake up. Wow, I'm kind of giving it away, but yeah, you can go drop a like, leave me a comment. What am I doing here, though? I'm telling a story. And then I'm adding some pictures. Why? Because I want people to resonate with the story. And it isn't catching on yet because of funny little algorithms or whatever. And not all of you have gone and checked out my Facebook page. Hint, hint. Right? But these people that do, those are the ones that are resonate with your story. Here's another fun one. Ha 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 ha. Right? So back to what we're talking about. You gotta be committed. you gotta understand starting today, you gotta start sharing your story, guys. Even if there's small wins like what we talked about at the very beginning of this of the show, right? So that being said, I yield. Jorge, what you got, buddy? And then we got one more slide and we're done. Jorge,
Yes, thank you.
you're very welcome. Thanks for being here.
I have a general comment to the last slide,
Okay.
an application of those 4 points.
Yep.
So I was very ignorant. I found that we have been told a bunch of lies. I am now helping people to open their eyes. I can help you with your finances and health.
I love it. Love it. Bravo, brother. Bravo. Bravo. Very good. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you for sharing, brother. So that's pretty much it, right? We got the commitment to tell your story. Let me just quickly look who said they were going to. We got Virgil said he's going to tell his story. Keisha said she's going to. Rita said she's going to. Dorea, she said she's going to. Jackie, Johnny said he's going to. Hey, Johnny, I didn't see you pop in here. Good to see you. And hi, Tony, by the way. I did see you pop in here. Oh, man. You don't even know how happy that makes me. Now, if you need to, go on ahead and tag me in your story so that I see it so I don't miss it because I would love to know more about you and your story. Bonus tips for you guys before we close it out, you know, is if you're never telling your story again, no one's ever going to know. I can tell you a dear, dear friend of mine who passed away a couple Decembers ago, who had, like Vicky, he's literally on death's door, had his little comeback. Of course, we lost him, but he didn't tell his story. And I'm telling you, the moment that he started telling his story, literally there was doors just starting to open, and people were like, "Oh my God, we didn't know that you had been on death's door and punched death in the face." You know, when people know more of your story, though, and especially if they can relate to, that's just going to open up more doors for you to be able to have the opportunity for you to have another conversation with another human being to find out if there's something that you can do to solve a problem in someone else's life, my friend. With that being said, I'm going to stop the recording, and I trust we all got some value today. Everybody want to wave and say bye? Make sure you get your notes, Vicky, before we stop it. Appreciate y'all being here. Tomorrow, How To Tuesday. Be there, be square. We'll see you next Monday, 2
Absolutely.
2. Bye-bye. Thank y'all for being here. Hope y'all had fun. Have a fantastic week, guys. Let's go kick some ass and take some names.